Hello everyone, I'm Harvey Brownstone, and today I'm pleased to welcome three young people who burst on the music scene in 2017 with their debut album Control Freak, which had three singles that spent 9 months on the alternative radio charts in Canada. Their new album, Daytona Bleach, includes their mega hit, Really Wanna Let You Down, which led to this band making history as the only independent self-managed band to hit #2 on the media-based Canada alternative rock chart. This album, which was only just released, has already accumulated over 1 million streams on Spotify and 2 top 10 singles at alternative rock radio. I am delighted to welcome Sally Shar, Zach Zanardo, and Jordan Sarcosta, better known as MONOWHALES. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us, Harvey. We're excited to be here.
Are you surprised that someone my age, and I am in my 60s, knows who you are and enjoys your music?
My parents are our biggest fans, actually. It's a popular demographic for us, right?
We don't discriminate. We're happy for any age, from toddlers to elders to jam out to our music.
Well, the thing about your music is that it's very melodic, and the melodies stay in your head after the song is over, which to me is the sign of a hit song.
Oh, sick. Good to hear, because we're much harder on ourselves about everything, so it's good to hear your perspective.
Okay, let's get the easy question out of the way first. Where did the name MONOWHALES come from?
That's actually the hardest question.
So hard.
Because none of us really know.
We don't really agree on it. That's kind of where we land. I believe that it came from a graffiti that used to be in the East End. This joke that was a whale with a monocle. And then it also, for me, played out to be this play on words about The Simpsons. So like monorail. Jordan will fight me to the death to that. But like, yeah, we all kind of have like different answers to this question.
Okay, Jordan, what's your answer?
Well, you said something that is part of my answer, which is the whale with the monocle. I think that's where it came from too. I just don't think the Simpsons have anything to do with it. But the mono whale was the mural outside our rehearsal space. That
Zach, you have an answer?
I didn't even know about the mural till like 3 months after we picked that name. So I just thought it was a completely crazy name, and we all agreed on it. That's all that mattered for me.
I think it's really cool. How did the three of you meet?
I met Sally in high school through a friend. I was playing in a band at the time, and we would do bonfires after our shows, and Sally would come to those. And yeah, we met at a bonfire and then went to college together where we met Zach.
And how long did it take before you decided to form a band?
Was it like 1 month after meeting me?
Yeah, but I met you late. So Zach was, in the kindest way, I can say it, kind of a wallflower when we went to college, in terms of like, Jordan and I didn't see him or know who he was until another friend way down the line, like was it second or third year, introduced us to Zach. But Zach was always around, and I think the main thing was, after hearing him play guitar, at least I instantly knew that I'm like, oh, this is someone that like I love what they do. I connected with it right away. And speak for yourself, Zach, but I think you felt the same way because we had a drunk.
Yeah, no, I was like, oh dang, like I would like to be in a band with Sally. We didn't know each other. After we met, we didn't even talk on the bus. I just said hi when I ran into her, and that's it. But we wanted to be in a band together.
Yeah. And then we kind of had a drunken night at Rancho Relaxo, which doesn't exist anymore. It's a little bar in Toronto that had shows. And I remember it's one of the only times we really got drunk, because to be honest, we don't get smashed very often. But this was one night where I guess we had to get this out, the confidence that either Zach or I blurted out, like, I really want to be in a band with you. We're like, I really want to be in a band with you. So it kind of worked out that way. And then Jordan, in my mind, was always going to be a part of the project in some way because he was a really good friend of mine. He also had the jam space that college, like he was doing this for years. So he was a very much a guider in all of this. And the funniest thing is Jordan was in so many bands at the time, unlike me or Zach.
Yeah, I wasn't in any bands.
And so I remember specifically Jordan being like, this isn't going to be my full-time gig, guys. I'll help, but I'm going to be too busy to do this specific band. And I think it's like, it says a lot, a testament to this band that he's in no other bands but this one now.
Yeah, I think it was destiny. Sally, you're the lead vocalist. When I listen to you, I'm reminded of a young Gwen Stefani, and I also detect a bit of Blondie in your vocals. Who were your musical influences?
Yeah, growing up, there's a lot of different things. Like I started by listening to a lot of my parents' CDs. So truly it was pop music. Celine Dion turned into pop, like Britney Spears, Spice Girls, and that graduated to Avril Lavigne, which was more rock. And that graduated to like alternative rock, which is where I really felt, your teenage years where you're getting it all out. So for me, I grew up a lot on like System of a Down, Korn, White Stripes. Regina Spektor became the next step, like of indie music. So it wasn't until later, honestly, that I got into more classic rock, like later in my life, in my 20s, that I listened to. Well, except for Beatles. Beatles, I listened to a lot, but it wasn't until later that I started listening to Blondie or Zeppelin or any of those people. Funny enough.
Zach, which artists inspired you when you were growing up?
A big one was Red Hot Chili Peppers. They were huge actually for me. I had like a fan site, and my email address was RHCP fan. Yeah, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I also loved like Charlie Brown Christmas album. We had 2 copies at home, one just for my bedroom and one for the family room or whatever. But like I was always kind of eclectic too. There was a lot of like random things I listened to. Like there was an Aboriginal cassette tape my parents had called a Rain Dance, and it was just I guess field recordings of Native Canadians, and I just used to really enjoy it. That and this Beethoven CD I bought at Loblaws when I was 7.
You have really eclectic tastes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a very good foundation. Okay, Jordan, what about you? Who were your musical influences?
When I was growing up, the music that made a big impact on me was like Lorena McKennitt and Nick Cave, Van Morrison, Tom Waits, stuff my dad was listening to. And then when I was like kind of like 10, 11 years old, I established this like insane fandom for Queen. I just loved everything Queen, and I would watch they're like live at Wembley like all the time, that concert DVD. And then I got way into like indie rock and like Neutral Milk Hotel and Arcade Fire when they were first coming out. Those were all really big for me. And then later on, things just got more and more eclectic, and now I just feel like I like a little bit of everything. These guys have exposed me to a lot of interesting music I wouldn't have found on my own.
Okay, can I just tell all 3 of you, your parents raised you right. Your parents had great taste in music. I'm really impressed.
Honestly, my parents only listened to Arabic music or ABBA, so that's really nice of you to say. I'm gonna contribute all my music listening to my brother, because he is the one that kind of. My parents are gonna be so hurt by it. It's just the truth.
All of your songs are original material that you wrote. Do you write together as a group or individually on your own?
We do a bit of both. Like often it starts as individual work that kind of ends up being finished as a group, or like different combinations of the 3 of us at different times. So there's a little piece of everyone in this, but it's individual also, but very collaborative too. Like we all rely on each other, so it's cool. It's unique. It's not often like that too.
Can you see yourselves at some point doing covers of other people's material, or will you always do only originals?
We perform covers at our shows. We just haven't recorded any to release yet, which might be happening soon. But so far, we've just kept it to live stuff. Give you something special when you come to the show.
Right now, you're an independent band. You're not controlled by a record company, and you call your own shots. Would you ever consider signing a record deal with a major label, even though you might lose some control?
I think the deal would have to be good. Like we're doing the best we can, and we're feeling really confident about what we're able to do here in Canada, and we're we're, you know, it is like we're happy where we are, but if offers were to come that were really good, then we would sit down and look at them and talk about it then.
You guys worked with award-winning producer Ryan Worsley in BC. What was that experience like?
It was pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, we came right off the road into those sessions and lived above his studio for a couple of weeks making that record. And it was, yeah, it was interesting. We had never done anything like that before.
Did he bring out talent in you that you didn't know you had?
It was more like he took something that we had and put his own spin on it that created something that was sort of like a unique collaboration between two creative forces. That's what it felt like for me, at least.
Is it true that Ryan had a great deal of input into the finished product of He Said, She Said?
Yes. It wasn't a finished product until we brought it to him.
How did that happen? How did he take a song that you weren't really finished with and not that confident in and turn it into the song we hear now?
Honestly, it all happened really fast. He just thought the part that we did have was really catchy, and like we had, to be fair, I guess we kind of did have a verse and a chorus. He kind of said, guys, no, this is awesome. No sweat here. And he just got the groove going. Once we had a groove going that worked with the song, we were like, oh, okay, cool. This is pretty sick.
You know, when I heard He Said, She Said, it somehow made me think about the pandemic because of the message of the song that you're trapped in the same scenario over and over again. Am I on another planet here?
Yeah, it's funny because the song kind of took form that way, at least for me, because we wrote it a while ago, and then starting to release it and really reconnect with these songs as they were coming out, I connected to that now. And that's the beauty of music and what it can do and how it can transform and time shift. So I do feel that way. Like that song represents to me like perpetual anxiety. And I think if there's ever a time to feel that, it was or still is, you know, during this time of uncertainty.
Now, 3 songs from your Control Freak album were featured in the Netflix series Spinning Out, and you guys even made a cameo appearance on episode 5 of season 1. Did you get a lot of feedback from that?
Yeah. So I think the song that got the most feedback was Real Love, because it was probably in the credits as well. But yeah, we got so much awesome feedback, especially probably the most on our YouTube videos of people being like, I was on Spinning Out. And I love that like everyone's a community and they like each other's comments and they support each other from Spinning Out. So yeah, it was a really great opportunity for us. And the fact that we get to like be in something as ourselves with our own music, that's satisfying. Like, you know, that you don't have to pretend to be anyone else. You're yourself in a show. So I think that's a special moment we got to have.
At one time, there were 4 members of Mono Whales, but Holly Jamieson left the group. Is she going to be replaced, or are you happy just staying as a threesome?
So we are staying as a threesome. We do have a session player. At the moment, it's Gina Kennedy, who will be playing, you know, doing the background parts, singing, and playing electric bass, which is a great addition to this band because we didn't have electric bass originally, but it is in our songs. So it's great to have that addition. Holly is a wonderful person. There's no like ill will. We wish her best in her new journey towards academia and music therapy. But I think this is a really challenging and specific type of life and lifestyle. So if you want to do this, you really have to know what you're getting yourself into. And so I think this threesome, we're a really strong trio that lift each other up and are ready for what's to come, or what, like, you know, the craziness that has been and that's about to come. We're ready and we're willing. So that's what we're confident in each other for.
Now, here's a question I've been dying to ask you for a long time. As I understand it, your band is considered alternative rock. I have never understood the difference between mainstream rock and alternative rock. Can somebody explain that to me?
I can't.
Alternative became mainstream like a million years ago.
Exactly.
So I think it, like, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty.
I think if something is like a bit more classically driven rock, then it might be considered modern rock or mainstream rock, like something, not always necessarily, but if something has more like the style of Guns N' Roses, those tiny things might push it into modern rock, where alt rock is like lighter or like more different aspects, different genres injected to it rather than the purest form. That's like the best definition I can find. I'm sure it could be picked apart though.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. Like, it has to do with where the artists are pulling their sort of foundational influences from. But I think rock as a genre has splintered so much over the years, and we're like so many decades into the evolution of rock that at this point, it's just like not even all that relevant to try to pin it down to one thing. So we just use these umbrella terms to kind of let people know it's not something else, but what it actually is can be a bunch of different things within that framework, which is kind of freeing and fun.
Well, do you want to be classified as alternative rock? I mean, was that your choice? Because to me, your music is simply rock music.
I mean, it's so subjective because some people come to us and they're like, your music is simply pop music. You know, it's a funny thing. And I think to us, we actually, don't let me speak for you guys. I don't care.
I don't care.
Do not care what anyone wants to call it. As long as they're happy and they're listening and they're loving it, they can put it wherever they want to.
It's just that the industry seems to pigeonhole people.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, is it better for you commercially if you're classified as alternative rock? I would have thought that being considered part of the mainstream music scene would lead to greater success, but maybe I've got that wrong.
I don't know. We haven't tried. I think it's like, for us, alt rock radio in Canada supported us like crazy. Like, we were just welcomed into the fold with that, which was really awesome. And then I think things have sort of spilled out from there in terms of how people kind of classify us. But I think it's our job to try to push back against those classifications as best we can and be as, you know, widely available to everybody and all fans as we can be, because really we just want people to hear what we do and enjoy it. As far as a marketing decision goes, I'm not really sure. It's something that, like, maybe in a different country it should be classified differently, and in Canada it's a particular thing. It's so hard to say.
I think your focus on just making good music and expressing yourselves as artists will land in the right wheelhouse for everybody. That's how I see it.
Sweet.
Let's hope so.
I want to talk with you a bit about the new album, Daytona Bleach. Is it true that the title Daytona Bleach is a comment on the disparity between the glossy first impression of a Florida beach town and the decay and the griminess that's really just under the surface?
Whoa, you've got this. You got it exactly, yeah.
I did my homework, Sally.
I can see that. Yeah, pretty much, like, honestly, you said it more elegantly than maybe I would be able to say it right now. So thank you for that one. I'll have to write it down.
Well, here's my question. Is there some parallel between the statement you're making about those beachy towns and the duality of the music that you produce?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, our music, like, you know, Sally even said it, it's pretty pop in a sense, and like that particular album is pretty shiny and sparkly. And, you know, there's catchy melodies and yada yada yada, but a lot of the songs, even the happiest of ones, also carry a lot of darkness, kind of, and that's kind of the duality that's always been like the soul of the band since day one. Is like, I don't know, it's more than a duality, it's just a complex connection of lots of different emotions that come out in a very unique way, and we try to, like, not pigeonhole that. We're kind of, you know, all of that and a bag of chips.
But you see, I think that's the key to your success, if I can be so bold, is that you start out as a listener getting hooked by the melody, the musicality of the song, and then you start listening to the lyrics because you're hearing the song more than once, and the lyrics start resonating with you, and you realize there's something profound there. You're making statements. I think that's a recipe that's going to take you far.
Sweet. That sounds delicious. Thank you.
You worked with two-time Grammy Award-winning producer Dave Schiffman. Tell us what that experience was like.
We just got out of the studio not even a week ago, So it's very fresh. We're very fresh to talk about this. But yeah, the experience was probably mostly annoying for him in terms of asking him so many questions, like, have you met, well, we know, but like, how is it working with the Red Hot Chili Peppers? How is it working with System of a Down? Have you met this? Like, the poor guy, I feel like we were like, when a dad is on the road and you're like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Like, that energy is what we brought to the studio to him. But you know what? He's really good at bringing it back, and it wasn't like we were annoying. He was really professional and straightforward, and I think we learned a lot from the advice that he bring and his engineering skills and that he brought to the table. I think are what is going to take this album to the next level in terms of like what we were able to capture and what he knows he wants to hear and where it's going to be. But you guys can speak more to that.
I haven't even heard the finished product yet, so
that's the thing. I think you pretty
much
withhold
judgment.
It was a fun process. That was like we had a longer period of time to spend in the studio than we've ever had before. Everything you've ever heard from us that's been released publicly so far has always been recorded in kind of a rush. It was sort of like a mad dash towards like, we got to get all this stuff in the bag because we're about to go out on the second leg of our tour, like we did with Daytona Bleach or with Control Freak. It was very kind of scattered. Whereas this was the first time we got to say, we're going to go spend a month in the studio making a record, and it's going to take as long as it takes, and we're going to breathe and make sure everything gets its time. And I think that was like a really positive experience for us that bred a lot of creativity on this new record.
I think the word on the street is that excitement, enthusiasm, that freshness that Sally was talking about was a real shot in the arm to a veteran producer like that, because you reminded him really why he's in the business in the first place.
That's good to know.
Now, one of the really great things about your band is that you're very good on stage. Your live performances are really electric. You've done 2 live videos from the Alma combo, Fake Friends and Out with the Old. Do you think you might do a full-length DVD concert at some point?
I don't know if full-length DVD concerts is what people are dying for anymore in this world, as much as I used to love the Queen live at Wimbledon.
It's Wembley.
We will be releasing them on a platform that you can watch, because I'd love for them to be accessible to everyone. So I think you'll see more of it. Yeah.
I hope you eventually do a live album too. Is that something you might consider?
I think that's in our cards one day. Like, yeah, I don't know. I've never asked the guys. What do you think?
I think it's gonna happen no matter what. We try to record sets where we can, and eventually one will be something we're happy enough about to put out to the world.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea when you will be performing live again?
You want to pre-order it, Harvey?
I think that, obviously it's pending, especially here in Canada. The vaccines are taking much longer. So once things are rolling out more smoothly, then I think shows will start to come back. And we do have some shows in the books right now. It's just still very uncertain. And we first and foremost care about the safety of everyone there. And so as much as I can't tell you that how much we're dying to get back on stage. That's what we live for. It's our lifeblood. More importantly, I want people to be okay. So I think, it's that duality.
From what I can tell, you've used your time during the pandemic very well. You were in the studio, you've done a lot of writing. Am I right?
Yeah, we wrote a whole boatload of songs, just like this too, on the computer, not in the same room with each other.
What was that like?
What was that like? It was great. We wrote a lot of songs. Sally, you loved it. Why don't you talk about it?
Sure. I mean, this is actually perfect. Like, this was the setup. I want to be real with you. Like, this is my demoing mic, and there's a bunch of books that it sits on. and we all sit here on Zoom, and there's different ways that we do it, but maybe Zach has an idea he brought in, and then we'll just sit on here and mute ourselves and listen to it and send it to each other and like think about stuff. And I love it because I think it really allows for breathing room in terms of like being in a room together is just a different energy. And it's not that the energy is better or worse, but in terms of doing it this way, I love that I can like mute myself, walk away, think about it, make a cup of tea, and have that like silence, or hear them in the background talking about it, and that slowly inspiring the process, rather than maybe being in a room and being like, now looking at each other in the eyes, which is like a different thing and it's great, but it's just this different way of doing it that allows a lot of breathing room that I really love.
Well, you guys have already won the Jim Beam Indies Award for Best Alternative Artists or Group of the Year and the Ontario Indie Recording Artist of the Year. Are you ready for all the Junos and Grammys coming your way?
Clearing space on my mantle as we speak.
And after you've won all those Grammys and you've made it big in the US and everywhere else, I hope you won't forget that it was your Canadian fans that got you started. Don't forget us.
Never. Like, I'm so grateful to be here, and I won't ever take that for granted.
Well, Sally, Zach, and Jordan, thanks so much for joining us. I'll be following your career with great interest, and I hope you'll come back on our show again with every new album because your Uncle Harvey is a big fan.
Nice.
Anytime you'll have us, we'll be here.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Harvey.
Thanks for having us. This is really something special, and it's a treat, and we appreciate this.
Thank you so much to our guests, Mono Whales. My name is Harvey Brownstone. Thanks to our producer, Steve Silver. Thank you all for joining us. See you next time.
Remember to subscribe to the Harvey Brownstone Interviews YouTube channel. And be sure to check out more great interviews with Harvey Brownstone on harveybrownstoneInterviews.com.